Hi, I'm Beth, and I'm living, praying, and pioneering in the new town of Northstowe on the edge of Cambridge with Pathfinder Church Northstowe, where we say that we are praying, exploring, and sharing. We love to invite people to walk a while on that journey with us, recognizing that we'll all be changed by that encounter. Our community action and intergenerational worship has always been hugely interactive, with an underpinning of prayer seeped in the ancient rhythms of the daily offices, even if most people only skim the surface of that. But then COVID struck. Our immediate response was to turn to those ancient rhythms of prayer, live streaming psalms and laments, to remind each other that while these times might be labelled unprecedented, God has walked with his people through times of plague and disaster before. Of course, this threw up big questions. Reading the Old Testament often does, and we like big questions. But as Easter approached, well, we accidentally recorded a passion play. It all started with Palm Sunday, when adults and children alike, those who've been with us from the beginning or those who'd been part of us much more recently, well, they agreed to be filmed reading a Bible story from the Voice translation, which sets out the Bible as a play script. And those who watched that Palm Sunday reading told us that seeing each other on film meant a lot. We missed each other so much. But more than that, it brought the story to life. So we read on all through Holy Week, even as we struggled with the stories of rising death rates, or we followed the story, connecting with it and its growing fear and uncertainty as we streamed it a bit at a time. On Maundy Thursday, then we ate bread and wine in our homes as we listened, together yet apart, pausing to acknowledge the growing darkness. And then we marked Easter with light and hope around a campfire, and yet recognised, perhaps for the first time, how much tension and confusion the stories still held. And then there was the story of the Emmaus Road, a walk in perhaps the wrong direction, not knowing that Jesus himself was there, a long, slow walk as Jesus gently unpacked the scriptures, pointing out how they all pointed to him. A long, slow walk where two fearful disciples realised that they were not alone and nothing would ever be the same. This Emmaus Road story has been, for me, I think, the story of lockdown. But still, we couldn't stop. Those new to the story came back full of excitement. They'd never heard the details before. They wanted to know what happened to their friends, to Peter, to Judas, what happened next. And so we read on, out of the Gospels and into Acts, adults, children, even soft toys, reading a different chapter every day, broadcast on our social media as the story unfolded. And we met Paul and followed his adventures, the ups and downs, connecting perhaps with our own. As restrictions eased and Black Lives Matter protests started kicking off, we found ourselves asking yet again, how could we disciple each other through that? And we did two things. First, we kept on reading, now reading Romans at a more manageable chapter a week, but we recognised something of ourselves there, as Paul wrote to that young community in a world struggling with issues of diversity and unity. And I started writing physical letters, including activities for the family and going deepers linked to the video resources. And our long, slow summer walk through Romans took us back into the Old Testament. It encouraged us to connect our big questions with those ancient stories and helped us to shine a light into the ancient stories of God's people. Like the Romans, our Newtown community of millennials and Gen Z, we recognise the challenge of new people groups with different cultures and expectations connecting with ancient stories. We recognise the cry for justice and freedom and the need for someone to help us understand the God who brings both. And that quest for understanding, well, it brought us right back to the road to Emmaus. We broadcast a series of retreat at home broadcasts linking Fowler's Stages of Faith with the Road to Emmaus, drawing on material from Stephen Spencer. And we started going for walks together, Road to Emmaus walks, two disciples first having silent prayer as they walked, and then one would talk while the other listened, and then turning around and swap the roles. Big questions were shared, prayers shared, silence shared, encounters shared. And the God who has walked with his people through unprecedented times, many times before, has tangibly walked with us, challenging and inspiring us, drawing us closer. And in all of this hunger for the stories, the ancient stories, the Jesus stories, and the boldness to ask big questions, it's risen up not because of what we've done, but as men, women, and children have dared to put themselves in the shoes of those who've gone before and started to walk in their footsteps. And through the walking, the questions, the letters, disciples discipling each other, connecting contemporary events with the still unfolding story of the God who walks with us. Well, we've been praying, exploring, and sharing. All of us being changed by the encounters with God and each other along the way.